Welcome back to Wargaming World, to Vietnam 1968, and to another game of FNG Tour of Duty. Now I've got a new scenario. You'll see that we've got a downed Huey, and the crew are just, well, most of them at least, are escaping, and they're trying to find some cover. And we've got a building here and a building over there, and I'm going to try and find whether they can get some cover in either of those two buildings. Get across this river. It's running fast but relatively shallow, and the name of the game is for a rescue party to come across from this side of the board, pick them up and secure them, and then get new Huey in to get them out. Now then, thanks for everybody who watched the previous video around the FNG rules, so I'm not going to go over them again here. All I'm going to say is that the crew are going to be in one of those two buildings, and I'm not going to disclose which. We'll see that later in the game. However, we have our American forces, our rescue team, who are going to appear from this end of the board. But we've also got potentially some NVA who are either side of this river with our potential enemy forces, and we need to roll and see where they may start off from. Now, we have to roll and see where our PEF are going to appear from. So there are three in total, three PEF, and they can appear in one of 6 areas. So I'm going to highlight which ones. So on the left hand side of your screen there, you can see one with the downed Huey, so we could have them there, but we're going to start at the top there. So we've got 3 rectangles, so you can see on the screen now, so it'll be 1, 2 or 3. And moving across the table, you can now see that we have 2 rice fields. So the rice fields are going to make up 4 and 5. And then in the far back corner there, that's going to be number 6, so they could appear there. Now our American forces are arriving in this section here. As I say, they don't know either whether the crew are in that building or the other side there in the second building. I'm going to roll for that once we get to them. So let's roll where our 3 potential enemy forces are. 2 of them in 3, 1 in 1. Rolled. This is where number 1 is. Rolling back, we had 2 appearing in number 3. So specific to this scenario is that the potential enemy forces will move directly towards the building if that's the roll that we get. In terms of the crew, if they're in that building, or indeed in the other building, going to be one or the other, they won't fire until this unit, actually the PEF that is, gets right into that particular rectangle. However, we do roll as normal to see if perhaps they are spotted, the PEF that is, and then we would replace them with actual forces. Now in advance of the game, I've rolled for the characters, the numbers. So we've got a squad of 10 men, we've also got an NCO, and we also have a radio man, so that's to call in the Huey when we can. And also I've added a medic. You just see that's the medic behind there. So quite a large unit, and we'll start to roll. The officer, the NCO, has a leadership of 4. Obviously the star has a leadership of 5, but at this stage we're just going via the NCO, so it's a 4, and we're going to start off with 4 for the rep of the PEF. So let's start the game. I'm going to see if I can roll on the river. Silver dice is for the PEF. So PEF can't operate, but the Americans can. So the Americans advancing cautiously, taking some cover the other side of the rice field here as they advance towards this building. U-turn means both units can act first and the PEF first. So the PEF units can move, and remember that how we do it is that we have a man over there, so if we roll the rep twice, move towards the building, so move 8 inches towards the building. If we get one of the rep, he'll move away right to the edge of the board, and if we get none of the rep, he stays still. So let's see how he moves. It's 1, so it's actually away to the Huey. First one will move towards it, towards the building I should say, and the second is the same. It's the end of their movement, so we've got the 1 there right on the edge of the board, as you can see. Now we've got these 2 here approaching towards that building. So the Americans advance again, getting closer to this building. Third phase. Now the Americans can't move, but the potential enemy forces can. Now the one that retreated beforehand, it will actually stay where it is. You can't get off the board, so it'll stay in that position. First one of the 2 that moved, well, that's a 6 and a 4, therefore 1 will retreat back to its original position. The third advances further forward once again. Now at this stage, the potential enemy forces will certainly be in line of sight if the Americans are in this building, so I think I need to roll. So 1, 2, 3, they're in this building here. No, they're not. So obviously they're over here. So just to be clear how the game's going to continue is that the potential enemy forces will still look to move to this building, and if there's nothing there, then naturally they'll look to then advance over here. Next phase. The Americans can't move because although we've got the 5 and therefore a star could move, it's still under the main group, which is the command. So the Americans can't move and the potential enemy forces can. But in addition to that, we've got a 7, so potentially we might have some reinforcements, and because it's the higher number, the reinforcements could be the Americans. So the investment level to see about reinforcements, I'm going to say the investment level is 4 because it's a rescue mission, so it's high on importance. So we need to pass 2 on the rep to see if we get reinforcements. So 4s or less. No, we don't. No reinforcements. So let's have another look about our 3 PEF, the one that's furthest away, or the one that's been retreating so far. Let's see if it wants to get into the game. It gets 0, so it just stays where it is, close to that building. I want to see how it can go into the building and have a look. And it passes, so it's allowed to do so. Okay, so I've taken the top off that and investigated inside, and nothing other than some rice. So PEF is in here, and so it'll know that the next place to go is across the river and over towards this one. Finally, third unit passes with 1, so that would retreat again. So again, that's also to the back of the board. That's where we've got to. Next phase, and again the Americans fail to move. First unit furthest away stays where it is. F in the building advances again, and the unit by the Huey, it advances this time. So we have a man here, 1 all the way back there, and then we have an advancing PEF. Now the question is whether that can be seen. Now I've got 4 men. We know it's going to be in this, they're going to be in this building, and therefore I think realistically they would probably be taking a look out of each particular window. So I'm going to add the crew at this side. Now I said, or this time I should say, now I said they wouldn't fire unless the NVA, as it happens, will be right upon them. They won't. They're still waiting for the Americans, who are getting very close. Now I don't think the American unit can see the PEF because of this area of jungle, but it's there, and I think there is a line, there's a direct line between this particular window. So let's have a test and see whether anybody is actually there. Well, we take the test against the PEF's rep, which is 4. Let's see if there's anything there. So it's a 1. Okay, a 1 means that there's something out there. They don't really know what. So when the roll takes place again from this unit, from that particular building, we'll roll 3d6 rather than 2. Okay, that's the end of the phase. On to the new one. Right, okay, so both are going to be active. Okay, so the Americans are advancing, and then they're almost at the building. PEF movement, so the one furthest away, first of all. And it'll stay where it is. Only this one, and we'll see which direction it moves. Either way, we're going to have to do a test to see if it's seen, but let's have a look and see how we go with the roll. And it advances towards the building. Finally, the one by the Huey, it retreats again. So 8 inches is across this river, and it's right up towards the building. So this time we said we're going to do it with 3 dice. And no, it's still only 1. So as it stands at the moment, the unit's there, it's close, we think there's something, but we're not absolutely sure what. So on to the next phase. And both units can operate. We'll have the Americans first, and they get in very close to the front of this building. They've made contact. Right, the Americans have found the crew. Great news. They need to get hold of their radio man to get the Huey over to this area and start getting them picked up. But first of all, are there any NVA in the area? Starting over here. No, they stay where they are. And now over here. Yes, that'll advance. Just roll with the one by the Huey. That stays where it is. Now, the way I'm going to do this is that this individual, we don't know whether it's going to be enemy or whether it's going to be just a civilian or nothing at all really. I'm going to roll these 3 d6. If it fails, then I'm going to move it around to the other side of this building. Then we might get further contact with the Americans there, but this time we're testing to see whether the crew in the building see any forces right opposite. And exactly the same is no, they don't. So we have to maneuver the individuals, and so what we're saying is that the crew don't see anything. However, what they would want to do, what would the PEF is looking to investigate this particular building, so it would move round to see to the other side, in actual fact, to try and go to the entrance. At that point we will make contact with the Americans, if indeed there is any PEF. So this is where we've got to. What I'm saying is that the crew keep testing and they haven't seen anybody, but as the PEF has got to that point, he's trying to get into this building here, but the Americans have seen them, or they've seen each other. So we're going to see if at this point whether there's any NVA at all. And at this point we've got 2, so there's contact. Right, so to work out what we've got is that we roll 1d6, we add the investment for the potential enemy force, which is going to be a 3 rather than the 4, which is the Americans. It's not a rescue mission, so it's a 3 plus this d6. If it's a 1, it means that what will have happened is that when the Americans turn that corner, there's a booby trap, or indeed the PEF triggers a booby trap. If it's 2 or more, then we'll need to see how or what forces are waiting. Okay, so it's an 8 in total. All right, you'll see on your rulebook that an 8 would be local Viet Cong. I don't have that for figures, so I'm going to have it as a 9, which is going to be the NVA. Right, we've got 6 men plus 1d6. 10 in total. And so, with the Americans getting there, and the crew calling out to the Americans, the NVA were waiting, and they've been activated, and we've got 10 men here straight in for an attack. So straight away we've got action. We've got the crew firing out the window, and the Americans here in the front into action. So there's going to be a whole host of shooting and melee. So let's start working that out. Right, loads happening here. So we've got 2 of the crew firing out the windows, the targets there, and vice versa. We've got 1 American there firing the other side of this. Well, I can't really see it's very much of a fence, but either way, it's not going to give them too much cover. But what we need to work out is who's firing first, and then you know, what happens in terms of casualties, etc. So just for ease, let's start off with these 2 crewmen inside this building. First of all, this man here, nearest to us, out of this window, and then we've got that officer there. So they both actually got pistols, but who goes first? They both got a rep of, sorry, the NVA has a rep of 4, but all of the crew have a rep of 5. Red dice, the Americans, and that's 2 each. Roll again. 1 each. I'm lucky. No, 1 each again. Well, in the end, I'm going to say this is simultaneous because I just can't get them to do things separately. So I'm going to say that the American, you've got a swathe of 2. You can have 2 targets. I'm going to say the American is going to fire at the man in front there, the nearest to us with the pistol, and the one behind him, whereas the NVA is going to fire twice at the American. The American at the officer, and that's 1. Okay, with a 1, that's it's effectively a miss, and the officer will return fire. Useful because we're doing this simultaneously, effectively. Anyway, so the rep is 4, and that's just. It's just 1. Now the target's in cover, so that's a miss. The crew member's going to fire again. This time it's not at the same target, it's the guy behind him. And that's a hit. It's been hit, and with a 5, that means he's out of the fight. He's not killed outright, but yeah, knocked out. Okay, and so as a consequence, it means that the man behind is out of the fight. We've got a second shot to come from the officer in front, and that's a miss. Because there's a man down, at the end of the shooting, we'll have a will to fight for the whole unit. So there's 1 man down. The officer effectively is missed with the 2 shots. We've now got this crewman and the individuals in front. Again, let's just work that out, although these figures here are firing with an automatic weapon as opposed to what I think is a pistol. Actually, on double check, he's just unarmed, so therefore the only firer is the NVA. Automatic weapon, firing into the window. It's got this American crewman. It's got 3 shots effectively. That's a hit. Second shot, so is that. Final shot, so is that. So hit 3 times, and but all of them are under the rep of 5. As a result, he's going to duck back. Now, this character at the front here, Cromwell. He's going to, well, he can fire. We've got men all around him, really, and We're going to ultimately see who fires first. He's going to fire towards these two men here. Let's see whether he can do so before they fire at him. Yes, I'm going to say that he can do. He's got an M16, and actually that gives him 4 potential targets. So we're going to have got three men here. So we're going to have 2 on the man to the left-hand side, and then 1 each, and the one's in front there. So first of all, the man he's shooting at twice. Let's see, so his rep is 3, so with one of them it's 2-4, so that's nothing at all. The others, however, the other shot hits. The man on the left is hit, so let's see the consequence. And with a 5, he's out of the fight. Another 2 targets. The nearest, effectively that's going to be a miss, a return fire, and behind him, that's a hit though. The sequence of the hit is a 6, is a kill. So from that sequence, there's 1 kill, 1 out of, 1's knocked out. This man here, he can fire back. Now he's got an AK-47, so effectively he can fire 3 times. 4, and that's a hit. Second time, hit again. Third, well, that's going to prompt a return fire. Before we return fire, we need to see what happens to the man who's got, so it's Cromwell, he's got a rep of 3, and he's out for the count. So the outcome of the firing is that we had to make a retreat inside the building for the unarmed man. We had 2 men out of the fight, and a third at the back there killed. We've also had 1 injured here amongst the Americans, so therefore we need to take some will to fight tests. And we'll start with the NVA. I'm just checking my squad notes, and the 2 men we have here, the front there with their M16s, are effectively 2 support people who are next to the ones with the grenade launchers. So I think that's Estelle and Rossi respectively. So we need to, they've got a rep of 3, that's the nearest in terms of that to make an impact there. I think once we get to, I'm going to say that the guys with the grenade launchers can't really see what's happened. These 2 certainly can though. Over here on the other hand, there's such close proximity to each other. I think we're just going to test the group. Right, the Americans get a +1 d6 bonus. We've got a rep of 3. They're not less than 50% in the unit, so let's see how they go on. So they certainly pass with 2, which means that they'll carry on. The NVA, they're not at half strength, and we've got a rep of 4 with that group where we're taking the test, and that's 1 passed. Right, the consequence for the group here is that they duck back. So they're going to duck back into cover, carry on firing, but that's the end of this phase. I'll just move these figures back. So we've now moved the NVA back. There's 7 men in total. Now obviously they're not potential enemy forces, they are the non-player forces, so we need to test and see what they do and how they react. New phase. And both can operate. We'll do the NVA first with the higher number, but also we'll test and see what they do as the non-player. Let's just have a look about the potential enemy forces. The one furthest away, we've almost forgotten that they're still on the board. That one, it still stays in position by the damaged Huey. Exactly the same, stays in position on the edge of the board. Now, I have seen via the other games, other 2R war games, things like Nuts. What we've played then is the non-player version, so we have some options about how they would now operate. I'm not sure that it's actually in these rules at all, so I'm just going to continue the action as if what I think would be logical, which I think they would continue to fire at the Americans and look to advance if they can. So they're going to act first with a 2, and the Americans subsequently. What I think they're going to do here, then the NVA, is that I'm going to roll to see if they can charge. So I'm going to roll and see if I pass a 2d6 for the rep. So I need 4 or below with both of them. If they don't charge, I'm going to say that they hold their position. They will return fire if they see the Americans advance. They can't fire on them at the moment because in actual fact they can't see any of them. So let's see if they charge. Yes, they will. Now I'm going to say with that charge there's only one situation where somebody can see each other, which is over here. So they'll fire at each other in a moment. Just looking at the top there, the others can't go through that window. That crewman's retired, and but they haven't got near enough to actually get into the building, so they would do that next time. Although we do have the Americans still to move. But let's just work out what happens between these two individuals, NVA and the nacelle character. I'm going to say they're simultaneous based on that. The NVA has 3 shots fires. As I say, it's going to be simultaneous. Based on that, that's going to be 2 hits. The American has 4. And his rep is 3. So based on that, it looks like we've got 3 with a 1 in each, which would prompt a return of fire. But we need to have a look and see what's happened to the American who's been hit twice. He has a rep of 3. He does have a flak jacket on, so let's have a look. See what happens there. So that equals his rep twice. Okay, so it's equalled his rep twice. He's got a flak jacket on, so if he rolls 2 4, 5s and 6s, he's okay. Otherwise, he's out of the fight. Out of the fight. So I'd fired everything at the guy in front, so I think the man behind can certainly fire, or certainly there's a sight there, so they could both potentially fire against each other. Based on the fact that the NVA was firing at the guy in front, I'm going to say that the guy behind can fire first of all. So he has effectively 4 shots. Again, he also has a rep of 3. So based on that, each time it's just going to prompt a return fire. So to explain, looking at the dice themselves, is that the 2 reds are 4 and 5, so that's no good. 2 and 4, 3 and 6, and 1 and 6 means that it's just one. It would just be one hit, which would normally be a miss, unless, of course, it would be the second time we hit the target, but it isn't. It's the first, and therefore they can return fire. Again, a rep of 4. So taking the dice this time, the 1 and the 3 means that's a hit. The 2 4s means that's a hit. The 2 and the 6 would prompt a return of fire, which will happen if the character survives the 2 hits. Now, he's got a rep of 3. He's got a flak jacket on, but we need to see what happens here with the roll. 1 would be fine. The 5, on the other hand, means it's out of the fight. Actually, I need to correct that. The fact that it's not a 6 means that the flak jacket could do the job. So he'll be able to return fire if we roll a 4, 5 and 6. If it's a 1, 2, 3, he's out of the fight. No, he's okay, so he'll return fire. So he's got 4 shots with an M16. He's got a rep of 3. So if we look at the 2 green dice, it's only 1 hit. Look at the black dice, however, that's 2. So 2 is a hit. So I should say the green dice means it will be a miss. Because it's going to be 1 hit, normally that would just be a duck back. So we know that the NVA would have to duck back here. The 3 and a 5 would have the same impact, white dice and the red dice. However, the 2 1s on the black dice mean that what we can do is that that's a hit, and to see if there's anything more serious than a duck back. A 4 and a 1, it just means that the individual ducks back. So over here in this phase, we've had the NVA have charged. We've had 1 man, an additional man, he's knocked unconscious, and through some firefight there, we've had one of the NVA then had to duck back. Right, now that was just the NVA movement. We've also got the American movement as the Americans now move in, and then also we'll have to do a will to fight test based on the fact that as these guys come around the corner, you're going to realise that they've taken some casualties. Now, in actual fact, from this angle we can see that some of the figures, you can also see the NVA over there as well. So this unit can also, or some of the men can fire, some others might move if they want to move into two teams, otherwise we'll have some firing from this angle. Right, quite a lot of change for the Americans. The officers ordered this unit here to move along the side, trying to get perhaps some kind of outflanking position from the NVA. Got the unit here at the front, including the medic, has now moved up. The medic ideally can get towards these wounded men shortly. Again, to get away from the firing on that side, this individual's moved up to the side to get a different firing platform on this side. And finally, over here, we've got the officer and the light machine gun. The light machine gun's now going to lay down some fire into the NVA at that angle. Start with the light machine gun firing. It's got 2 targets, so we're going to have 3 on each, and we've got a rep of 4. So we've got effectively 2, which is a hit, which is the black dice, 1 with the green, which would prompt a return fire. That's on the first target. Second target, that looks like the same again. So we've got 1 hit and 1 which will prompt returning of fire. First target that was hit, 5, has got a rep of 4, so it's going to be out of the fight. Second, there's a 3, so it's going to return fire. 1 man down out of the fight, and then this man is the one that originally had retreated. So I'm going to actually say that the officer can fire at it before it can return fire. So it's firing with its M16. It would have fired, it would have shared its fire with the other man. So I'm going to say it can only fire twice at this figure. Fires twice, 1 is a hit. As a consequence, it's a 4, which is equal to the rep. However, that means it's going to be out of the fight. Now, at this stage, I'm going to have a look at the will to fight of the NVA. The Americans are in a strong position. I know they've got a couple of men who are knocked out, but at the moment we haven't been able to get any reinforcements for the NVA, and indeed wherever they might come from might be some way off. So I'm just going to test the will to fight. Rep of 4, remember. So we've passed there with 2, I think. Well, I'm going to have another phase. Let's see how we go. I think it's very much in the Americans' hands at the moment. Let's see what this roll looks like. Both can operate. The Americans first, however, with the higher number. Okay, so we're going to have more firing over this other side. We've got to move the unit with the radio, and indeed my own character is here. I'm going to call in the chopper because the crew have been climbing out the window out of this building before it's inhabited. We've got some fire here with one of the Americans just around the corner, and then yeah, as I say, we've got some firing as well, continued fire from this light machine gun. See who fires first. This character is Reedy here on the corner in the NVA. He only has a rep of 3, so the NVA might fire first, which indeed they do. Firing at him with a pistol. He's got 2 possibilities, and hit twice. Flat jacket. And his rep is 3, which means we're going to need to roll for a flak jacket. 6 is okay. 1, 2, 3, knocked out. And although it helped him in one way, he's been knocked down. Okay, so he's around the corner, but unfortunately he's been hit by the officer. I realise we have another man who's moved up in the who's lost in the jungle. Even so, the target I think out here for the Americans is we've got 1 man standing and then 1 that's visible over there. So we've got a couple of targets. Fires first, however, they can see each other. So green dice we'll say is the NVA. Both got reps of 4, and it's going to be the Americans. Machine gun 3 dice effectively on each, rep of 4. So the white dice would only prompt them to fire back. Green is a hit. The red prompts them to fire back again. Target that's actually in the building or approaching into the building. Green prompts them to fire back, as does the red. But the white is a hit. Building or approaching the building with a 3, that's fine, he just fires back. Outside, the 2 just fires back. First fire of the AK-47 from next to the building at the light machine gun, reps of 4, means that we've got 3 hits to the light machine gun. Same man, or sorry, same target I should say. Reps of 4. Here it would just prompt them to fire back. However, he needs to sort out what he gets in terms of being hit 3 times. Light machine gun, rep of 4. With a 5, he's out of the fight. It hasn't got a flak jacket on, so he's out. We go another man down. The officer, however, is going to fire at those same 2 men, same 2 targets. You can't really see them there. I'm just pointing up that you can see one man there, and you should see one in the building. Actually, I'm not too sure that they were close enough to be fired off separate. They should be about 2 inches away, so I'm not altogether too sure. Certainly the M16 can't fire at both, so we'll just fire at the man in the open. 4. So let's have a look at that. Black dice are no good. Green dice, 1, it would prompt him to fire back, as with the white. Red dice just means that he's made a hit. Outcome. 5 out of the fight. In the game here, effectively, we've got 4 men of the NVA who are left coming into the building if they wish to do so. But it's now an empty building as the Americans start to retreat. And indeed, we've got more forces here coming on. So at this point, I think I'm going to call the game. Right, I'm going to say effectively the Americans have achieved their objective. The crew are have got away, and they're getting away to this unit with the radio. It's not without some damage. We've had 4 wounded Americans across the units, and we've got 5 wounded NVA and one killed outright, I think. So in terms of the game itself, the NVA would withdraw, as would the Americans with their wounded, and I'll call it a day there. So that's I think a good game played. Okay, so thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed it and you want to put any comments, then please feel free to do so on this the YouTube channel, or if you want to join the Facebook group, there's a Vietnam War Wargaming group. Just established that if you want to join that. Come up with any thoughts or ideas of new scenarios, and we'll look to play them. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.